problem is with money, right? You know, in the US, they sit and they talk about money. They teach kids about budgeting and stuff like that. What they don't see, so my parents were the same. You know, my parents were exactly the same, didn't know anything about their finances, didn't know anything about anything. I was a financial planner. They still wouldn't speak to me about money, right? But then I see people move over here, right? And we live in, well, I live in Dubai, I live in Abu Dhabi, and they come over and they've had no education on money. They come here, they get loads of debt. They're in not a good space because they don't know how to manage their funds because, you know, it's not taught to anybody, right? And it's that taboo subject. And then you see the mental health off the back of it. You know, most people, I've dealt with a lot of people over the years, clients and people I've met. And most people I find that suffer mentally, normally it can be linked, and a lot of the triggers come from money because they haven't budgeted or they've took a big credit card or, you know, all of those sorts of things. So, I mean, where do you obviously mentioned that just there yourself. I mean, that must be such an important part of what you're doing with those kids, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it's a secret. Money's the number one cause of stress in people's lives, right? I mean, I think more so than politics, work, home, like it, and we've seen what it does to relationships, right? Yeah. I mean, like, I stood up in front of a room full of the most influential head teachers the other day, and I said to them, look, we know all of this stuff is happening, right? Like, I'll give you all the statistics and the evidence that the money ruins relationships. People's mental health is completely deteriorating because of the situation. They don't understand money, and people are preparing less. So we know all the life for the future life. We know all this is happening, yet we do so little about it today, right? And in other areas of our life, we address that, right? If a child's current lifestyle was going to lead to type 2 diabetes, they would do something about it today, right?
Yeah.
Like, but we know that these, like, 2/3 of the world's population are financially illiterate. We know that, right? Yet we just send these children out without any real education. And again, I keep harping on about habits and behaviours, like guiding them for those habits and behaviours, because habits and behaviours last, right? Like, if we can build habits and behaviours into children, they last, right? Yeah. Whereas just giving children knowledge, Barclays can come in and do a day's worth of financial education, great, right? And more financial education, the better. But that isn't then going to stick with the children, right? It's about putting them into the scenarios that allow them to consistently practice those behaviours.
Relating that back to sport, I suppose. So you're a rugby player, and I know you played to a decent standard. The children I know that started playing rugby at 5. And the children I know started playing rugby at 12, the difference in their vision of the game because they built that habit when they were a thing. I suppose what you're saying is you can stand up and preach and preach and preach about the importance of budgeting, but actually you've got to teach them how to budget at that young age when their minds are like, you know, how old are your kids?
4 and 2.
Yeah, so I've got 6 and 8, right? And, you know, my kids live over here and I'm trying to constantly educate them on the value of money because that's the age where it'll stick with them and go through into later life.
The Cambridge did a study that says that children's relationship with money is already starting to formalise by 7 years old. From 3, they're starting to understand things like trade and the value of things, right? So, like with any habit, right? The longer you let a habit go, right, the harder it is then to change that habit. Okay, so like the earlier that we can start to build good habits and have those good conversations around money, was the flip side. We can build those good habits earlier, and then they'll stay with us for the rest of our lives.
So what you learn from the financial planning profession and really like educating adults, you've probably taken a lot. And it's quite funny because, you know, sometimes I do feel like I'm, you know, trying to really explain it so simply. I mean, you've taken that now and you're trying to not dumb it down, but simplify it, I suppose, so that they can learn it along the way.
Well, I mean, I think as financial planners, I mean, if we're being completely honest, a lot of the early work of adults building wealth and stuff is fairly simple, right? Like once you actually break it down, it is fairly simple, and a lot of people can take that advice and run with it. It's just like the overcomplication of it, and the way that it can, like, potentially the profession has made people feel about their own personal finances. But yeah, I mean, it's. I think that it doesn't need to be that difficult, and we can. The more people become familiar, or the more children are familiar with it from an early age, the more they're going to be successful with it going forward.
I mean, it's an incredible thing you're doing, right? Because you're giving back to so many. But obviously, there's a business there, and you're going to turn it into a business. And obviously, you've built the foundations now, and the next steps will come. I mean, teaching those kids early will. I mean, you were a financial planner over here, right? And one of my biggest frustrations of working in the GCC as a financial planner is you'd meet with people and they wouldn't want to sit down and take financial planning advice because there'd been bad advice 10 years ago, right? So instead they went out and spent everything, right? And you sit with them and they be coming to you 3-4 years later. My friends and stuff in Abu Dhabi come to me and say, well, I've got a bit of trouble here because I haven't got a lot of money and I've not been paying to a pension and all that sort of stuff. I'm guessing you saw that a lot when you were doing, with the rugby and stuff. I mean, you've seen the profession change massively over here.
Absolutely.
I mean, what's your view on it now over here?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's companies like Hoxton who are leading the way, and reality is that's going to drag the whole industry up, right? Because I think like one of the biggest things, obviously, you guys are doing, you're so transparent about what you're doing now and how you do things, and I think having that sort of open door policy for people to sort of look in and what you're doing means that everyone else is going to have to lift their game, right? So I think the financial planning as a whole has got so much better since over the last sort of 12 years, and it's attracting some of the best talent in the world to come and work here, and I think the idea of working with international clients is something that's attractive to probably financial planners in the UK or US. And I think it's only going to get better, right? I mean, so many people are coming here, and in the GCC, it's one of those things where the service needs to then increase, and I think that's happening.